You want to have some fun? He asked Therese rhetorically. Fine. You don't? Goodbye. There are too many women, and they're all too easy to make it worthwhile.
That's just like Lil Duval's quote. There's always a woman who will. The way that young man was talking, it speaks to abundance mindset. Don't waste your time on a woman who's not going to be doing what you need her to do.
I stopped approaching women after I went on a date with this girl. Movie, dinner, drinks. I paid for everything. We went back to my crib, touched each other private parts, all on the first link. We scheduled our second date a week later at this event downtown. Day before the event, I come down with a bad fever, so I cancel. She decides to still go. I was bedridden, not in the mood to cook or anything, so I asked if she could drop me off some food. She says, no, I can't. That's girlfriend behavior. So you were cool with me whining and dining you at my expense, sleeping with me on the first date, but dropping off a plate of food that I was going to pay for is where you draw the line?
Nothing for you. Nothing for you.
If you're marriage-minded, get rid of her or put her in the other things category. You don't have time to be trying to convince that woman, hey, well, I think you should be bringing me soup. That's girlfriend stuff. If you want to be my girlfriend, you don't have time for that. Okay? We got other shit to do. Abundance mindset is understanding that, hey, I'm a good man, and if this woman is not going to do this on her own volition, then I got to go find another woman who will. There's always a woman that will. He's about to talk about when there's more women. Yeah, this is good. Fair use. Here we go. John Berger.
Let's look at what happens when men are scarce, which is the current situation today among college students and college grad millennials. Sociologists and psychologists who study sex ratios have found that when sex ratios skew female, the whole dating culture becomes more sexualized.
Oh, more women, the dating culture becomes more sexualized. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of running around out there, huh? We know the game.
The good news, according to clinical sex surveys, is that everyone seems to have better sex. And yes, this apparently applies to married folks too.
Uh-oh, and the married folks looking at big booty Latinas on Instagram.
Clinical sex studies show that when gender ratios skew female, couples engage in more foreplay, more experimentation, and have more frequent intercourse. The bad news for single women is that the single men are in no rush to settle down.
Why would they? If sex is free, it's free. Why would they settle down? As I stated, it's starting to make sense, ladies. And this, again, this is about 10, 11 years old. Same story. It's no reason.
Marriage rates decline, divorce rates go up, and out-of-wedlock births become more commonplace. As I said before, one of my core arguments is that today's hookup culture is largely a byproduct of gender ratios, and not Tinder, not MTV, or any of the other explanations that some people glom onto. I know that Vanity Fair story on Tinder generated a lot of buzz, but my take was that story was just unbelievably naive. Tinder is less than 4 years old. The hookup culture was alive and well long before Tinder arrived. There's actually a rather long and ridiculous history of folks mistakenly blaming the latest new technology for a rise in sexual permissiveness.
It's been going on for a while.
In the 1920s, for example, people blamed the automobile for the rise of the flapper generation. A house of prostitution on wheels is how one state court judge described it. The real explanation for the loosening of sexual mores had nothing to do with the automobile. Some 10 million young men died during World War I. Another 20 million were injured, many of them grievously. This created an incredibly lopsided dating market after World War I ended. I don't know if any of you have read Irene Nemirovsky's novel, The Fires of Autumn. Nemirovsky came of age in 1920s France, and The Fires of Autumn reflects the social sensibilities of that era. In her novel, a young war widow named Therese thinks she is being courted for marriage by her childhood friend Bernard, only to discover that he wants nothing more than a fling. Bernard, in turn, is baffled by Therese's unwillingness to carry on a casual affair. Given the shortage of young men in post-World War I Europe, Bernard cannot understand why any bachelor would want to settle down. You want to have some fun? He asked Therese rhetorically. Fine. You don't? Goodbye. There are too many women, and they're all too easy to make it worthwhile.
That's just like Lil Duval's quote, there's always a woman who will. So, and that's, the way that young man was talking, it speaks to abundance mindset. And that's why I try and tell you guys, don't waste your time on a woman who's not going to be doing what you need her to do. Just like the guy, you guys will see the video coming out tomorrow where he was complaining that a woman slept with him on the first date. However, she wouldn't come bring him soup when he was sick. And he felt that was messed up because, well, how you going to have sex with me and not bring me soup? You saying that that's too much. It's like, brother, just either if you're marriage minded, get rid of her or put her in the other things category. You don't have time to be trying to convince that woman, hey, well, I think you should be bringing me soup. That's girlfriend stuff. If you want to be my girlfriend, you don't have time for that. Okay? We got other shit to do. Abundance mindset is understanding that, hey, I'm a good man. And if this woman is not going to do this on her own volition, then I got to go find another woman who will. There's always a woman that will. Gentlemen, y'all hear that? So stop wasting your time trying to educate a woman on what she needs to do when she don't want to do it for your ass in the first day or in the first place. But she will, let you sneak in. So take that as a win, get rid of her, and go find your wife. Simple. All right, let's continue.
Spend some time on college campuses, as I have, and you'll find a lot of men who sound an awful lot like Bernard. Women at disproportionately female schools talk openly about their frustrations. Everyone's self-esteem takes a hit, a young woman at 75% female Sarah Lawrence College told me. This young woman complained to me that the men of Sarah Lawrence have little interest in exclusive relationships. Why would they, she told me. It's like they have their own free harem.
And one thing they never understand is women contribute to this. Why do men have a harem of women? Because women are womening. They there get stuck into. So you complaining about the dating market, essentially that you all created. Why they don't want to settle down? Because y'all sneaking in. You coming in and out. I got this one.
She continued, one of my friends was dumped by a guy after they'd been hooking up for less than a week. When he broke up with her, the guy actually used the word market. Like
dating market.
The market for him was just too good.
The market for me is just too good. It's just too good for me to be settled down. Because there's a whole bunch of women who are contributing to this dating market.
A male Sarah Lawrence student I interviewed shared a similar assessment, although he wasn't really bemoaning Sarah Lawrence's hookup culture. He was essentially celebrating it. He told me there really isn't a culture of monogamy or even dating here. Sometimes it feels like you can have anyone you want. Now, to be clear, this guy was no Tom Brady. I mean,
he was. This is funny. He gonna say the dude wasn't that attractive. However, he just told you that Sarah Lawrence College, it's what did he say? 75% women. So it's only 1 man to 4 women. So he don't have to be that good looking, but he got a weenie. I got needs, right? So he ain't got to be, what did he say, Tom Brady or some shit? Nah, he's just a man there. Yeah. Snoo. What was that off of Futurama?
He kind of looked like John Lennon circa 1970, except even more malnourished. Yet his stories were just so, shall we say, colorful. That at one point, I blurted out and I just had to ask him how many of his current female friends he'd had sex with. Just his current ones. Oh, I'd say at least 20, he told me.
Oh, he running through him, ain't he? He was running through him.
Yeah, that was my reaction too. And he saw that and he added a little qualifier just to take the edge off it. He told me, you should know that includes some threesomes and foursomes.
Andy! Back to back to back to back. Stacking them up, stacking them up. He running through them all at the same damn time. Yo, and the funny thing about it is the women are contributing.
The gender ratio at Sarah Lawrence is particularly extreme. It's 3 women for every 1 man.
Yeah.
But in
3
terms
with
of the
every woman.
dating culture, it's not as much of an outlier as you'd think. In the appendix of Date-Onomics, I include a table that ranks 35 major public and private colleges by their gender ratios, and then pairs that data with students' own description of dating life at their schools. The descriptions are courtesy of niche.com, which is a college review website that's authored entirely by students. So here's what Niche had to say about some schools that are 60% or more women. At 50% female Boston University, quote, freshman year is a sexual explosion. There are girls to go around and around again. At 61% female New York University, quote, guys take advantage of the male to female ratio and most have no plans of settling into a long-term relationship.
I hate the fact that he said taking advantage of. Women, if women are contributing, that's not taking advantage of anything. That's adapting to its surroundings.
Closer to Washington, 63% female James Madison University. Quote, the deficiency of guys creates a scene that tends to embrace random hookups.
Oh.
Even at Baylor University, a Baptist school steeped in Christian values, Baylor's ratio of 3 women for every 2 men still has a big impact. According to niche.com's write-up of dating at Baylor, quote, the same girls that run in the social hookup circles on Friday night are taking you to church with them on Sunday.
Yo, this is getting a little too real, ain't it? How you just gonna have threesomes with me on Saturday, but then we got to wake up early to catch some morning service? I guess it's, give and take. You got to be in balance. That's wild work. God up there looking at you like, man, what you doing out here?
The guys practice the requisite Christian business principles, but blow through the Baylor babes that are an endless supply.
Yeah.
Another 60-40 college is UNC Chapel Hill. A few years ago, the New York Times wrote a story about the shortage of men at University of North Carolina. The story contained this quote from a female UNC undergrad. Quote, a lot of my friends will meet someone and go home for the night and just hope for the best the next day. They'll text them and say, I had a great time, want to hang out next week, and they don't respond. Even worse, girls feel pressured to do more than they're comfortable with just to lock it down.
Oh, that means sneaking in early because they want to lock that man down. Let me get Mona's comment. Mona said, women are contributing to the poor outcomes that they swear they didn't want. They expect men to change and adapt, yet they can't stop popping that cat. Yeah, that's the thing. When we have these conversations, it's like, oh man, men are taking advantage of who? They contributed. Like, what you mean taking advantage? Women out there running around. So it's nothing you can do.
By comparison, the college dating scene is much more traditional at schools that are either majority male or at least have gender ratios closer to 50-50. I already told you about Caltech. Here's what niche.com has to say about Georgia Tech, which is 66% male.
All right, Georgia Tech. It's in the word tech.
Tech is a fairly monogamous campus, and people like to be in a relationship.
Wow.
How about Tufts University, which is 50-50 thanks to a big engineering program? According to niche.com, at Tufts, quote, halfway through sophomore year, people begin to pair off and generally stay paired off through junior and senior year.
All right, so let me give y'all some insight on Tufts University. It is, of course, predominantly white. And like you said, people are essentially paired off at the sophomore, junior year, so on and so forth. So they end up getting that ring by spring, right? Okay. I've heard some conversations about, women being free in college and things like that. And we just studied this here. One thing that I noticed is that people was like, yeah, man, black women don't want to settle down while they're in college. And to that, I do agree. It goes, in regards to the statistics. But that doesn't necessarily mean that those white women are not having sex with men. No. White women running around in college. They going from dude to dude. But just like in the Tufts University report, they tend to reel that shit back in when they get into their later years of college. Freshman year, run around. They're going to do what they need to do. Keg parties, whatever, sneaking in with that dude and that dude. But eventually, it clicks in their mind, hey, yo, I need to get a husband. And they start to reel that shit back in and start looking for a dude to settle down with, even though they have been sneaking in with every other dude during freshman and damn near sophomore year. The issue in the black community is that our women are sneaking in, having sex, doing what they need to do, running free, but they have the mindset of, I'm going to college so I can prove that I don't need a man. Other races of women don't do that. Both of them all sneaking in, all having sex, but those white women understand that, hey man, this is where I'm gonna find this is the best place where I'm gonna find all the men that have an upward trajectory. So I need to reel this shit back in. And I wish that the women in our community could adopt that mindset. And that would it would stop a lot of the issues that we have in the black community, because as I stated before, only 29.3% of black women have a bachelor's degree or higher, 22% of black men. And we're even enrolled at a higher rate. You know what I'm saying? I mean, all your black men and women were enrolled, but we all don't graduate. However, if you look at the statistics, it's kind of on the same, same scale. Okay? But they got to reel it back in and stop trying to go to college to replace a man. That's not what it's for. All right? So yeah, so nobody is saying that white women ain't running around. They just know how to reel that shit back in. All right, let's continue.
Or consider University of Miami. Yes, it's a notorious party school, but it's one that's only 53% female. Remember, the average is 57%. According to Niche, quote, random hookups are common in the beginning, but after a few months or a year, relationships take over. It isn't just the dating culture that changes when women are in oversupply. Sex ratios can have economic and even political impacts too. Just as men earn more when women are scarce, women become more career-minded when it's the men who are scarce. Christina Durante, who's a marketing professor at Rutgers Business School, Durante conducted a series of psychological experiments in which young single women were presented with information that caused them to believe that their local dating market either had too few men or too many men. The study participants were asked which was more important to them. After the initial stage, they were asked which is more important to them, career or family. Durante found that the women who thought that there were too many men were more likely to prioritize family, whereas the women who thought there were too many women were more likely to prioritize career.
See, that's, I mean, hey, it's crazy. Explains everything.
Durante concluded that sex ratios, quote, lead women to seek more lucrative careers when it will be more difficult to secure a mate. As I said, there can be a political impact too. The pioneering book on sex ratios, titled Too Many Women, was the brainchild of the late Marcia Gutentag, a psychology professor at Harvard University who died prematurely at age 44 in 1977. She died before she finished the book, but Too Many Women was completed and co-authored by Paul Secord, Gutentag's second husband and a fellow academic. As counterintuitive as it may sound, Gutentag and Secord conclude that feminist movements are energized when men are in short supply. Here's what they wrote. What we are suggesting in answer to the sex ratio question is that given the abundance of unattached women, men will shape to their advantage the form that relationships between men and women take. With a surplus of women, sexual freedoms are more advantageous to men than to women. These circumstances should impel women to seek more power and incidentally turn them towards meeting their own needs. Most forms of feminism are directed to just such ends.
Did y'all hear that? That's what I was saying. I have needs. We used to hear that all the time on Kendra G's show. The women will say, I have needs, Kendra, right? So essentially, feminism is linked to women being more promiscuous because, again, they think that is a power. Women think that empowers them to have frivolous sex like men. So when there's a shortage of men, more women lean more towards feminism, which means I can do whatever the hell I want and I won't be judged by anybody because there's more women. So that means they're going to have more sex. Makes sense? You see the correlation there? And this is the same thing that we see in today's modern culture. Nothing has changed. And this is not just a black issue. This is a states issue. It's a U.S. issue. Well, I don't even think the women who think like this consider it an issue. They think it's just them being empowered, that they can have sex with whoever they want and I can focus on my career. They're more individualistic. It's like, yeah, I only got to focus on myself. So when I need my needs met, then I'll just go find one of these men who are in short supply, get my needs met, even though I know the guy may be sneaking in with a woman or a couple other women. I need to get mine and I'm going to go back and I'm going to focus on my career. Essentially what I explained when I was in the DMV.
I believe these concerns are very real, but I also believe that lopsided gender ratios are part of the problem.
How did y'all enjoy that, man? Did you see, paint a good picture on what's going on in today's dating market and then from the past? And also it helps the black community understand that we're not the only ones that have been discussing these issues. I think a lot of it is interchangeable with different races, different cultures, and specifically with the college and education situation. But I think it was very eye-opening to understand that a lot of women contribute to the dating market that they complain about. You cannot be so flippant with your vagina and then be expecting men to just go ahead and settle down when you're ready. That's not how this shit works. Just because you're ready doesn't mean that the 10 women behind you are ready and they're willing to give it away for free. And at the same time, you still have that man that's earning more money. He may be focusing on his health, getting in the gym, climbing up the corporate ladder. So it just makes him simply more attractive to younger, more hotter women. So you have to think about it. Why would he want to settle down if you guys are still giving it away for free? That's something that's a hurdle that women have to discuss, amongst themselves. What are you guys going to do? Okay? Stop trying to blame the men when you contributing to it. You don't want laying on your back. Get up. That's simple. All right.